everybody. Welcome back to the Back Check podcast. My name's Cam Azerv alongside Dawson Smith, and we have our another guest appearance today, and Scott Walford. Scott played in the WHL for the Victoria Royals and for the Blades for a season, and now he attends McGill University in Montreal. He was also a draft pick of the Montreal Canadiens in 2017 in the third round. So, Scott, just tell me about your experience in the Western Hockey League and how was that for you, and what was that experience like?
Yeah, my experience in the Western Hockey League was nothing but amazing. I signed at 15 years old to Strong Team in Victoria. They had guys like Joe Hicketts there, Chaz Redekop, Tyler Soy, Austin Carroll, lots of NHL draft picks and pro hockey players, and then a coach of Dave Lowry. So he's a interim head coach of Winnipeg right now. So got to go in there, learned a lot. Victoria's a beautiful place. So met a lot of great people there, made a lot of lifetime connections, played there for 4 years. And then I went to Saskatoon for my 20-year-old season. And that was great. Obviously it was cut short because of COVID, but met some great people out there as well. And I think the Western Hockey League was a great route for me. And I'm really lucky to have the experience that I did there.
Really cool. Such a cool experience, and obviously got to meet a lot of cool people, it sounds like. If you had to name a couple people or one person, who do you think has had the biggest impact on your career so far?
I think the two biggest people would be my parents. I think outside of that, I would have to say I think a lot of the player that I am today is because of Dave Lowry. I've had a lot of great coaches, a lot of great skills coaches, but when I came into the league as a 16-year-old and having Dave at 17 as well, I think that he really helped me believe in myself, and he helped me unlock a part of my game that I didn't know that I completely had, and I played with a lot of confidence under him, and I'm just grateful that I got to play for such a great coach.
Awesome. Good praise for Dave Lowry. He's doing pretty well in Winnipeg right now. And what was the transition like from the Western Hockey League now attending college? Has it been a good transition, a different transition?
Yeah, it's been different. I think the big thing is, like, especially with COVID, is last year up in Canada, we were all online. So I did school from at home last year.
Really cool. And what was it like getting drafted to the National Hockey League and by Montreal in the third round? How was that experience?
The experience was amazing. I still remember draft day like it was yesterday. It was a dream come true. I remember being in my front room with my family and just got up, and I didn't know I was going to go that pick. So when I heard it on TV, everyone just started cheering. It still brings chills to me when I think about it. It was a really cool experience. Obviously, a couple years down the line now, things with Montreal didn't work out great, but I have nothing but great things to say about the organization. I learned a lot from the coaches there, the training staff. I made a lot of friends that I was drafted with. So even though things didn't work out, it was still a great experience, and I was very fortunate to be drafted.
It's really good. And what do you anticipate your career is going to look like after college? Or do you plan? What's your major? You going to plan on trying to go back to the National Hockey League and play pro? What are your thoughts on that?
For sure. Yeah. So right now I'm taking just an economics degree, just at McGill here. And I'm going to finish that. And then I'm going to use these years to develop and come out and try to play pro after. So obviously with COVID happening, haven't played too much in the last 2 years, but we're hoping to finish our season here. And just wanting to use this time to really develop and kind of fine tune areas of my game so that I can knock on the door in a couple of years and be a viable option for a good team in pro. And I'm a really competitive guy. So if I was playing pro hockey, my goal has to be to play in the NHL. It's not to just level out at a certain level or stop trying to make the NHL. I'm hungry, and I want to make sure that I still give myself a chance to play in the National Hockey League, which has just been my lifelong goal.
Absolutely. And that's good. And I hope you can do that, because especially with like COVID and stuff, it must be like pretty difficult from like getting drafted, then hitting the pandemic, and you haven't really been able to have a season to showcase what you've been doing and all the work you've been putting in. So hopefully I'm hoping like you guys can get a full season this year to keep developing and your game can continue. So how has COVID impacted you as a player?
Thank you. Yeah, I think the big thing when it started, didn't get to finish my 20-year-old season, which especially as a 20-year-old, you want to go out at least in playoffs.
Right.
You don't want your last game to be a regular season game. You want to be playing for something. So it was a bit of a shock. I think we won my last game by, I think it was over 5 goals. So it was one of those games that you don't want to go out on. So even though it was a great win, you'd rather go out on a 3-2 win and just high emotions with your teammates. So I mean, it was kind of it was an unfortunate way to go out on your career, but you know what, I had a great WHL career, so it is what it is. But yeah, I think we not playing last year was tough, but use that time to develop and just focus on studies. And I think that in the long run it might have been a blessing, because coming into this year, it's probably the healthiest that my body's ever been and strongest that I've been, just because you get a year off of playing. So if you're not using that time to get stronger and become a better player, then you're going to be left behind. So this off season was the same thing. Just had a good training off season, and now just trying to work with our teammates here to hopefully win a national championship in my time here, and then working all the time with the coaches just on skills and areas of my game that they think that I can improve. So obviously COVID right now might have hurt kind of playing hockey and hindered parts of your game just from not having actual experience in games. But it hasn't been long enough to tell whether it'll turn out to be positive or negative, and just have to stick with it. And the people that do stick with it will be the ones that get rewarded.
Absolutely. I think the best way to think of it is it happened, but if you can take the positives out of it and find a way to make it a positive, I think the situation can be great, even though your career road hasn't been maybe the way you envisioned it because of COVID or whatnot. I still think if you make the best out of it, like you're doing right now, I think good things will come.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. It's and you know what, it's not just people in the sports world that are affected. Obviously, people in every facet of life are affected. So it's just about kind of keeping with it, and maybe you might be working towards a goal that the road isn't very clear, or the destination isn't set, but you just gotta keep working and just know that it'll show up when it does.
Absolutely. And for people who haven't seen you play or may have not heard of you, how do you describe your game as a defense? You play defense, but are you more of an offensive defenseman, a guy who can do a little bit of both?
Yeah, I think my game is just about being a good, strong puck moving defenseman. I've always been someone that can make a good first pass and take care of my own end first, but then I can add offense as well. Obviously didn't start the season the way that I wanted to, but when you go throughout my career and just the belief that I have myself, like I can contribute in all 3 zones. And I'm someone who likes to play a lot of minutes and in the big moment. So if I was to compare myself to someone, it'd be to Ryan Suter or Nate Schmidt. But I definitely just want to keep working on those parts of my game and be a viable option for a pro team in the next couple of years.
That's awesome. And a guy like Suter and Smith, they're very, very good NHL defensemen who have been in the league for a long time. So I know their games they're both really good in their own end, but also guys who can move the puck well. So I love watching those guys play. It's a good way to play the game. And I'm sure Dawson has a few questions. Don't mean to be hogging the mic.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so Scott, just a question. We kind of ask everyone that kind of comes on here, if 3 players, dead or alive, who do you think, you would sit down and want to have a dinner with?
I think for me, like one for sure would have to be Wayne Gretzky. The other, just being a defenseman, would have to be Bobby Orr. Yes. And then when I kind of look back at like just watching old highlights, whether it's Rock'em Sock'ems that my dad used to have, or just highlights of great NHL defensemen, like I always loved watching Scott Stevens play. So I think he'd be an interesting one to have at that dinner as well.
That'd be cool.
I see.
Good.
Yeah, those are all great players, and
yeah, it was a good pick. Did you have any?
Yeah,
you have any questions What am I saying? I don't know.
That's all right. And I guess my only other question was, we know that you've been a guy who's worked really hard, and obviously you're getting a degree from McGill and stuff. Where do you see yourself, in the next 10 years? Let's say you make it all the way, you play pro. Where's your dream place to retire to?
My dream place to retire to. I think it's so far away, but I've always loved the island. Vancouver Island's one spot. Like Victoria, playing there for a couple of years was a great place, and it's beautiful all the way up and down the island. But I see myself staying in Vancouver. I'm pretty much just I'm a homebody, so I like being in Vancouver and just everything that the West Coast has to offer.
I've heard good things and always wanted to go out west and see Vancouver. I've heard it's really, really nice there. I haven't had the chance to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Yeah, at some point, but there or if you go to Vancouver, it's definitely worth a day to go to Victoria and just walk around downtown as well.
Awesome. Who was your favorite NHL team growing up, if you had one?
Sorry. My favorite team, was definitely the Vancouver Canucks. Watched a lot of their games growing up, and got to watch a cup run. Didn't win the cup, but it was a pretty special time to be a fan.
Absolutely. I had a feeling it probably would be Vancouver, but just double checking there.
Yeah, no, sure. It's there's a lot of Canucks fans out west, but obviously being out west, there's just like everywhere else, there's fans from Toronto, Montreal, all the big Canadian teams.
For sure. Well, Dawson, that's all the questions you have. I think that's all I have to say, unless you have anything else to say.
No, I mean, that sounds great. Cam and I are gonna have to take a trip to Canada and visit Vancouver and maybe go see Victoria Islands.
For sure.
Yeah, you guys will. It'll be great. I'm sure you guys will love it. The West Coast is a special spot.
Absolutely. One last thing before we go, guys. We're doing a promotion with Puck Legends. If you use the code BACKCHECK, you can get free shipping on your next order on pucklegends.ca. So use the code BACKCHECK to get free shipping on your order, and make sure to check them out for great merchandise. They have some really cool t-shirt designs coming out. Anyways, that's all we have time for today. Cam Meserve alongside Dawson Smith joining us. Scott Walford, wishing you the best of luck with the rest of your career. Let's stay in touch, and I'm really excited to see what you can do the next couple of years. Really excited to watch your career. And
thanks for having me on.
All right, thank you so much.